Do you see that what's happening in society today is the same as was happening in the day of Moses? They say worship means what you do in church. If you want to claim freedom of religion, that just means you should be able to go into a building like this and pray and sing. But we say to Pharaoh, like Moses said, it's not just individuals that worship. We worship in our whole family life. A man and a woman being true to each other for life, that's a form of worshiping God. Raising your children in a Christian way, that's a way of worshiping God. The way I do business honestly and fairly and with respect for others, that's a way of worshiping God. Moses said, let me go free. Not because I owe a little bit to God, but because I owe everything to God. The freedom that a Christian demands is not a little freedom. Because the freedom a Christian demands is based on the great duty that I owe to God. Freedom to worship in church, yes. But also freedom in the way I live my family life. And Pharaoh says, fine, but leave your business to me. Think about this. Pharaoh has offered the men, the women, and the children, they can all go free. Now, Moses says, I have duties to God in every aspect of my life, and you must respect every one of them. The Bible shows that freedom comes from having many duties to God, duties that the state can't interfere with. But the devil says freedom is when the state recognizes no duties. Satan says, I'll set you free. Let's have governments that say no man owes any duty to anybody or anything. I'll make you free by emptying marriage of duties. I'll set you free by saying parents don't have responsibility for their own children. We'll take over that responsibility. I'll set you free because you can pursue your business interests with any kind of desire or passion you want. And so man is left empty. And when the government turns around and says, do this or do that, the man who has committed himself to Satan's idea of freedom, let me go, Pharaoh, because I owe a duty to God. Kill me or enslave me, but I will fulfill my duty to God. I know a king greater than you who has directed me to do this, so I will do it no matter what you say. Those who have achieved freedom have fought wars for it. They have sacrificed for it. They have struggled for it. Just like Moses said, the charter, the Constitution, the basic structure of your freedom is the duty that you owe to God. God says this is the basis of your freedom on earth. All that you owe to me, God says, you can't pay to any man. What is the basis of your freedom? It's the service that you owe to God. Don't say freedom is because I don't owe any duty to anyone. As Paul says, I'm a servant, a slave to all men. I owe all men so much because so much has been given to me by God. But I owe men that duty as God has told me to deliver it. If a man comes to me and says, serve me, I say, God has appointed kings, I'm happy to serve you. Sir, I say, I respect you, I honor your office, I'm willing to obey you. But first I have to obey your king. And he's already told me to do so many things. He has given you a little bit of life to rule. Doesn't it make sense that the King of Kings gets the lion's share of my life? In the world today, there's a final lie that I just want to conclude with. And this lie is that you can just follow your desires. I just want to conclude by reminding you of what Jesus said. Jesus went to the Jews of the day and said, I'll show you the way to freedom. I'll show you what freedom really means. What are you talking about? We are free. We're not slaves. They believed that they were free. But Jesus says, let me tell you the truth. Everyone who sins is a slave. What you are doing as young Christians is shedding your sin and becoming free. But make no mistake, if you are ruled by sin, you are a slave. You may call yourself free, but you're a slave. A society that encourages people to sin, a society that encourages sexual promiscuity, a society that encourages prostitution, a society that encourages homosexuality and abortion, a society that says drug use is fine, a society that encourages greed, a society that encourages divorce. This is a society of slavery. The liberty that the first Christians after the Reformation worked for was not to encourage slavery. It encouraged people to live virtuous lives. It upheld the right of freedom of religion. It upheld solid marriages. It encouraged people not to waste their lives, addictions and drug abuse. It encouraged people not to be greedy, but to pursue business fairly. Freedom is not the devil's way. Freedom is not rebellion against God. Freedom is not emptiness. Freedom we are desperately struggling to achieve. And you are the double ambassadors of freedom. The gospel is the message of spiritual freedom. But one who understands all the duties he owes to God is also an example of freedom in society. Never forget the double lesson of freedom.